Tiga.
Hello everyone, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Bintang and you guys can call me Mr. Bintang, of course. And I'm here about to teach you on basic sociology. But before we continue, anyone will take the lead for morning prayers? Okay, what's your name, son? Aaron. Okay, Aaron, take the lead for morning prayers. Shall we? Okay, prayers begin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Amen. Well, before we continue, I want to first check on class attendance. And it seems that 100% everyone come to this class. Okay, well, without further ado, let's begin. Well, have you ever heard about sociology? Or maybe have you ever wondered how the world actually works? And no, I don't mean atoms or molecules or chemical reaction and kind of stuff. I mean the world that's full of people just like you guys and me, myself, of course. And then have you ever wondered why some people go to college and some others don't, or why? And what makes people walk the way they do down the crowded streets and somehow avoiding each other without even thinking about it? And then, how did you know without anyone ever writing it down for you that you're supposed to raise your hand in math class or in my class, of course, but never at the dinner tables with your families? And why do some people love Broadway musicals while others love hip hop and some people love both? Okay. Well, today we are going to figure out all of these things and a lot more. And this isn't just about the world out there, it's about you and me. You're going to learn something about yourself and about your place in the world. That is where sociology begins. Let's start with a little history. Okay? Sociology began in the 18th century thanks to the French philosopher named Auguste Comte. Comte wanted something ambitious. He wanted a systematic science for studying society, a way to investigate social problems and actually solve them. Now, sociology today looks very different from what Comte originally imagined. But at its core, it's still doing what he hoped it would do. So here's our definition. Sociology is the scientific study of society and human behavior. But wait a second, isn't a society a pretty huge thing to study? Society includes entire cities, it includes the economy, and it includes politics also. So what does any of that have to do with raising your hand at the dinner table with your father, of course? It turns out a lot. Let me show you. A society is a group of people who share the same cultures and the same territory. And cultures is everything from the biggest questions in politics all the way down to the smallest direction between two people. So yes, society is enormous, but it's also incredibly small and personal at the same time. Want to see how it works? Let's think through this together, okay? Imagine you're sitting alone in your room and nobody else is home. You're singing along to your favorite songs as loud as you possibly can. And you're absolutely certain that no one can hear you. In that moment, are you really outside of society? No, exactly. Because society isn't some place you have to physically go find. It's already there in the house you live in, whether you share it with your parents or your siblings or your roommates. It's there in the fact that you're probably annoying somebody with your singing right now. It's there in the song itself and the music that goes with it. Everything in that room that you didn't personally build with your own two hands is a product of society. You might have been completely alone while you were singing at the top of your lungs, but you were alone when your friends first introduced you to that song. And for that matter, your taste in music was never entirely your own to begin with. The genre you gravitate toward might have been shaped by whatever you were exposed to as a kid, or by what your friends are into right now, or by the neighborhood you grew up in or the school you attended. Society is complicated. It shows up in places you'd never expect to find it. Okay? So when we say that sociology is the study for society and human behavior, we are actually describing something enormous, possibly one of the broadest fields among all the human sciences. And that means sociology is incredibly wide-ranging. The social sciences also include disciplines like economics and psychology. And even though all of these fields have different perspectives and different areas of focus, they are all trying to understand the social world objectively through control and repeated observation. So what makes sociology different from every other social sciences? Well, like the others, sociology looks for patterns, right? Recurring features or events. But sociology looks for patterns everywhere, across every possible setting. It examines every aspect of society at every single level, from two people having a conversation all the way up to the differences between entire nations. That range is what really sets sociology apart, and it's captured in something called the sociological perspective. Alright? Well, the sociological perspective means two things. First, it means seeing the genre in the particular. And second one, it means seeing the strange in the familiar. Let's break those down, shall we? Alright, Aaron? Well, seeing the genre in the particular is a way of saying that sociology tries to understand individual behavior by placing it inside its broader social context. Going back to your singing, a sociologist listening from the sidewalk outside wouldn't just notice what song you choose. They'd be curious about how that choice was shaped you by your social class, your race, your gender, your neighborhood, or your age. For example, a sociologist probably isn't personally invested in whether you specifically decide to get married, but they might be very interested in why marriage rates are declining across an entire society. What causing that? What are the social effects? Or they might be interested in the fact that people in the United States tend to marry within their own social class and their own race. In both cases, what matters isn't any individual choice, it's the pattern made up of thousands of individual choices like it. Every single person in one small piece of that pattern, a sociologist can look at one individual piece the same way you'd look at a single stone in mosaic. Now, the second part, seeing the strange in the familiar. This one is honestly harder to do. It means looking at your own everyday, ordinary routines as if you were seeing them for the very first time, as if you just arrived from another planet. Remember that question at the beginning, why do we raise our hands in math class but not at the dinner table? That's actually a small, perfect example of seeing the strange in the familiar. And it's difficult because your own society tends to feel completely natural to you. You take it for granted. The more embedded you are in the society, the more your understanding of it becomes second nature, automatic, and unquestioned. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Right? You generally need that kind of automatic common sense understanding in order to function in society at all. You need to know that you're supposed to shake hands when you meet someone new. You need to know that a red light means stop. You need to know to show up on time where you have somewhere to be. But if sociology is going to actually study society, it has to treat these familiar, everyday things as strange and unfamiliar in order to understand how they work and to uncover behavioral patterns across different cultures. Common sense is our automatic connections to the world around us. Here's why that distinction matters so much. 200 years ago in America, the common sense assumption was that only white men truly participated in society. It was common sense that slavery was justified. And it was common sense that women shouldn't have the right to vote. This belief made perfect sense to the people who held them in exactly the same unquestioned way that the opposite belief feels completely obvious to us today. Well, I think that's our basic introduction to sociology. Anyone want to raise questions? Anyone want to ask questions on this matter? No? Alright, if you guys don't want to raise the questions, I think this is our final class today, and thank you for your presence. It means so much for me. And if you have any further question, you can email me, and I will give you my email address. And I hope today's class is very meaningful to all of you guys in here. Okay, let's close this class, and thank you for coming. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.